which was not to play this like
Look at this. Imagine being this random Reed Devil, and this fool comes in and RKOs your ass. Let's go! So there's a game made by the Black Desert Online devs. Correct me if I'm wrong here. We have seen a trailer for this like an age ago, like a long time ago. And they're making this game called Crimson Desert, and it very much looks like a mixture of Ghost of Tsushima and Breath of the Wild and like a lot of different games in a big action set piece, sort of like open world game. And I got sent a few videos of this thing and I'm like, oh yeah, this is that Impossible game. Like we saw it before and it's like, that game looks really cool, but it looks impossible. I remember saying this like a couple years ago. And when we're watching it, it's like, this is so ambitious that there's the chance of it even coming out and being as functional as it is very unlikely. You know, it just looks fake. Yeah. It looks like something that is there just to get people on their side for like investment. And it's like, but that's not real, dude. This is an idea and not like a real running game. You know what I mean? It's called Crimson Desert and a bunch of people played it. So yeah, GameSpot has a hands-on. I've been told good things. Let's just fire it up and take a look.
I recently got 45 minutes of hands-on time with Crimson Desert's combat at PAX 2025, and let me tell you, Pearl Abyss is cooking with this game. For those of you who don't know, Crimson Desert is an open-world action RPG with quests, exploration, and a full storyline. But there were so many things shown off in the trailers leading up to now that this much effort in the combat alone seemed extremely ambitious.
Yes. It seemed too ambitious. For everything that we saw so far was just like, is it single player or multi? I think it's a single player. I think it's mostly a single player game. Everything that they were showing off, all the crazy systems and shit, outside of petting the cat, you know? Some of the combat was just like, this is way too crazy. I don't know, man. It's not an MMO. No. Black Desert is the MMO. Crimson Desert is the single player game, you know?
The amount of tools shown at your disposal were overwhelming, from light and heavy attacks, overhead slashes, running, dashing, jumping, sliding, rolling, parrying, counterattacks, shield bashes, vaulting jump attacks, impaling and repositioning enemies while impaling, slow-mo with bow attacks a la Horizon Zero Dawn, dodging while said slow-mo bow attacks, glinting your sword to blind enemies, charge attacks to rush down opponents, spin attacks, flying front kicks, drop kicks, step back attacks.
What? None of these are going to be cohesive. It's impossible. It's just, it's like a Devil May Cry.
Ground kicks, stabbing them on the ground, picking them up off the ground and suplexing them.
What the shit?
Mounting larger enemies and climbing them.
Yes, and when I was looking at this stuff on my phone, looking at clips and shit, I'm like, this looks like what I kind of wanted Dragon's Dogma 2 to be, you know?
Colossus style, and Spider-Man web slinging using a grapple to approach building-sized rock turtles.
What the fuck? What? What is that?
Spider-Man web slinging using a grapple to approach building-sized rock turtles. This was really impressive because apparently this is just a mid-game build, which means there was way more to uncover for your arsenal. The fact that not only the moveset itself is huge, but singular attacks can have different functions depending on the context of the situation, such as the L3 and R3 buttons, which are your quote-unquote left and right hands as a force palm attack. This can be used.
Bro. Is this going to be Breath of the Wild, but for Max? Like, is this shit going to be Breath of the Wild, but specifically made for Maximilian, dude?
Used as a mid-air boost after a jump, a guard-breaking low punch on the ground, or even used to launch during a side switch.
That's so fucking cool looking, dude.
A guard-breaking low punch on the ground, or even used to launch during a side switch.
What? You could jump off their heads and shit?
One of the moves where Cliff vaults over the opponent onto their backside, but then can cancel into this hand attack to blast the top of their head. All this leads to a system that has huge depth, which is exciting for me because player expression is, in my opinion, one of the best tools to keep players invested in a game and try out new things.
Yeah, it very much looks like almost like Game of Thrones adjacent, like Breath of the Wild.
Picking up weird combos in the Zelda series just shows off what I mean. Before we started our hands-on demo, he asked us if we knew what a lab monster was. And boy,
what? Wait, what?
Before we started our hands-on demo, he asked us if we knew what a lab monster was. And boy, was that music to my ears. For the uninitiated, it means the player who loves to dive into the training room and find out the best strategies.
Damn, it looks fucking good, too. This is a shitty quality video, too. I need to see if there's any 4K footage.
It was pretty clear what he meant when I was watching him explain the controls. After about 30 seconds, I asked, hey, out of curiosity, can you roll into a sweep, then OTG them with a throw? AKA, can you roll, trip them with a leg kick, then pick them up off the floor with a throw? He did exactly as I asked, and it sequenced perfectly. Not only was I pleased that game was already clicking with me, but even he seemed surprised that it strung together. This immediately got me on board on how I could approach it.
Damn, dude, the anims look fucking cool, too.
This also led to another comment he made while I was playing, which was not to play this like a Souls-like. Also, music to my ears. The speed of Dark Souls.
Oh, what the shit?
Which was not to play this like
Look
a
at this. Imagine being this random Reed Devil, and this fool comes in and RKOs your ass. The next best thing is that the RKO in the skill tree has an upgrade. RKO into exaggerated bounce. Boom! The guy goes into the air, and then you jump back, and then you grab their ass with like a Bushin drop or some shit, dude. RKO into Izuna drop. Like, what the hell?
Dark Souls style fights is not quite my cup of tea, and this was clearly a much faster paced system with a mind-boggling
This is an action game,
to remember. This game really pushes you to master every combination of buttons, shift controls, toggle menus, and what moves link into each other. This complexity is pretty clear when you begin to see most of these systems almost feel like a fighting game, like Soul Calibur. There are multiple throws depending on this mid-combo.
GameSpot preview of Crimson Devil saying all the right words.
The opponent's facing or the position they're in. There are side switch attacks that pop you over or through your opponent, OTGs, or off the ground for people who don't know fighting game terminology, timed teching when getting hit onto the ground to reduce time knocked down.
So they literally have a ground Ukemi system.
Timed teching when getting hit onto the ground to reduce time knocked down, and full-on combos with moves that link into each other. One combo that was
wow, dude, the animations look fucking crazy.
Was to glint my sword using R1 and L1 together to blind and stun them, then use my charge stab attack using circle and X together, then light heavy with R1, R2, then end with a powerful overhead slash with R1 and R2 pressed together. These combos are highly recommended to do because singular attacks on their own often have your opponent pop out quickly and retaliate.
Dude, holy shit, man.
Which often had me punished for doing random singular strikes. I personally really enjoyed this system. The physics
Dude, look how cool the combat looks.
One of your throws chucks the enemy forward, causing them to ricochet if they met a wall. This vice
so there's
versa
also environmental shit?
To me, as a stag lord's large stature overpowered me and threw me off my feet headlong into a stone wall, which subsequently turned into a pile of rubble and snow and spectacular.
Oh, I like seeing enemies do cool shit too.
Trees would fall mid-fight to also make another piece of dynamic terrain for you to fight around. These can also fall on their head and damage them, or sometimes even you. You can also pick up, aim, and throw a large variety of objects in the world, which only adds to the possibilities this game has. Mind you, Pearl Abyss built this custom engine from the ground up for this game, and they have optimized it so well that the PC was only lukewarm during our time playing.
Bro, is that why it is running so good? I'm like, what is this, dude? Why is it... Someone told me to play Black Desert. I want to play this! I want to play this, not Black Desert. I want to play this.
Walked away from this demo feeling the itch to jump back in ASAP, wanting to get that salty run back to master the controls. I was able to defeat the Reed Devil and the Stag Lord, but not without a lot of trial and error, getting smacked around for a while, fumbling with the controls, trying to rewire my brain as fast as possible for what was happening. Bro,
does this game have a character creator, or do you play as just like rando dude? Does anybody know? They have 4K 50 minutes of footage. Is it new? Does it have a character creator? Do we know? Or are you just like some guy? You're just the duder? Dang it. That's the only thing that would potentially be better is if it had a character creator.
I think this is a good problem to have, because when we finally get our hands on it...
Yeah, he's like has like a name. That's why I was asking. He has like a name. This looks fake. Right? I get it. This is likely going to be coming out later this year, but this looks fake. So, okay. So everything looks really cool. The combat looks amazing. I have a concern. If the progression and like gear acquisition and character progression sucks, it could fall apart, you know? Like, no kidding. Like, all of it's very pretty and cool and shit, but if its systems don't really, like, aren't really married super well to, like, the gameplay experience, it could fall apart. Because it looks like you can do so much shit. Which is why I'm, like, very curious how it actually plays, you know? How it really feels and how you progress and continue. Yes, so I'll be honest, and it's not against people that like Dragon's Dogma, but to me that was an issue with that game, is that progression never felt good to me, you know? Like how I literally move the story forward, how my character upgrades, like how I engage with enemies and use my abilities and association as the game progresses forward. I had the same problem in DD1, and I had the exact same thing happen to me again in DD2. Like, I could not pinpoint why it is. It would take like an investigation and like write a video essay on what's going on to really investigate why. But something about those games seems so cool when I'm watching a video, and then I play them, and I'm just like extremely disinterested by the time I'm done with like a 3 to 4 hour session, to the point where I'm just like looking for adventure. And the adventure happens, but none of it really does it for me, you know? So I don't know. This game's gonna be impossible to stream, dude. No streams are gonna look as good as the game does, most likely. This is gonna be like grass bitrate hell. This dude's getting effed up. What did you just do? What? Dude, the grab system looks nuts. The grabbing and jumping system, it looks really... This bitch is getting stabbed. Oh my god. Dude, very quickly, he got, like, ganged up and then shanked in the back. Oh my god. Wow. Ow. Okay. This looks really cool. All right. Yeah, can you like... Yeah, that's what I want to know. Can I like air toss a bitch and then grab him, jump up off another bitch, and then grab the dude by the neck and RKO him in midair? Can I do that? And then when he hits the ground, can I OTG him? Wow. Yeah, it's like Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor in a way, but like really combat focused. Clearly the combat is the hero of the game, you know? I get it, the visuals are nice, but I don't know, to me, from what I'm looking at, the most inspirational thing is how you're engaging enemies, dude. Granted, I'm very impressed. I'm not gonna say things particularly like, this looks real, this still looks like an impossible game, you know? But it's in all the other things, you know? Quest progression, story progression, where like you really are incentivized to explore the combat a whole bunch. Does that happen, you know? That's what I meant about like, you know, can the game support all these systems and shit? Because it looks very cool. Or do we get to a Dragon's Dogma situation where it's like, there's a lot of really cool systems, but I don't really want to use much of them. Oh, he tried to parry? Dude, mobility is quick. That dash is fast, man. Oh, oh shit. Yeah, fight's long. That's cool. Camera's crazy sometimes. Badass! Yeah, alright. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. Yeah, mobility might be a little too good. Who knows? Well, you actually get a shocking amount of, like, control when you're in this bird state. Ah! Whoa, that's what we saw earlier. Yeah, I feel like, once again, the more I see of combat and fighting, the more excited I get. Straight up. The more I see of combat and fighting, I'm like, all right.